All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're tackling a totally timeless story that, honestly, pierces right through our modern obsession with projecting this perfect, unearned image of success. I mean, we live in an era where polish is prized above pretty much everything else, right? We're constantly curating our wins on social media, we hype up our resumes, and we bury our struggles so deep down nobody can see them. It's exhausting. But today, we're going to strip all of that away to uncover a completely different, much quieter kind of leadership.
So let's start by looking inward and asking ourselves a really tough question. Think about it. It is incredibly easy to hide our failures and just show people exactly what we think they want to see. We put up all these filters, literal and metaphorical. But we really have to wonder, is this relentless pressure to polish our lives actually costing us our true character? Are we losing the courage to just be honest? Are we trading in our deeply held integrity for, a quick, easy round of applause from people who barely even know us?
You've probably heard the proverb, all that glitters is not gold. Well, that brilliantly anchors our journey today. To really grasp the weight of this, we're going to travel back to an ancient kingdom to see exactly what happens when a wise, aging emperor decides to test the true nature of his people. He wasn't looking for standard cookie-cutter perfection, and he definitely didn't care about royal bloodlines or who had the most money. He was looking for something much, much deeper to secure the future of his entire empire. So, picture this. Facing the end of his reign without an heir, the old emperor, who was an absolute fanatic for gardening, by the way, devises this fascinating test. He summons every single child in the kingdom to the palace, and he hands them each one single, dark, totally unremarkable seed. And then he makes a stunning promise. He says the throne will go to whoever returns in 6 moons with the most beautiful plant grown from that specific seed. Suddenly, the fate of the whole kingdom rests in the tiny palms of these kids.
Now, out of this massive crowd, there was one quiet village boy who just genuinely loved growing things. And he treated this challenge with sheer devotion, not even just because he wanted to be emperor, but because he respected the craft. He poured literally all his expertise and tender care into his emperor's seed. He planted it in the absolute richest, darkest soil he could find. He watered it meticulously from a delicate porcelain cup, and he set it right where the morning sun would hit it. I mean, he did absolutely everything right. But man, as the seasons change, you can practically feel this boy's growing panic and heartbreak. Spring starts with such hope, but after a week, the soil stays dark and silent. 3 weeks in, he carefully swaps out the soil, just desperate for a tiny little green shoot to break the surface. Still nothing. By the time the 6 moons have passed and autumn finally arrives, deadline day, his pot remains entirely, devastatingly empty. Despite his absolute hardest work, he seemingly failed.
Totally defeated, the boy sits beside his pot on that final evening and just quietly cries. He loves growing things. He just doesn't understand how he messed this up so badly. But then his father steps in with this profound piece of advice. He challenges the boy to face his apparent failure head on. He tells him, an honest, empty pot is the best you have to give, and what you have to give is what you must bring. It's a terrifying thought, right? Showing up empty-handed when literally everyone expects perfection. I mean, it took sheer courage for the boy to actually listen to his dad. Just picture the divide in that palace courtyard on the big day. On one side, you have all the other children presenting what we can call borrowed blooms. Magnificent flowers spilling over the rims, rare trees, bright colors, sweet perfumes filling the air, the whole shebang. And on the other side, our village boy. He walks in wearing plain clothes, hands trembling, carrying a pot of dark, silent dirt, completely surrounded by this overwhelming sea of color. The great bronze gong sounds, and the tension just peaks. The stern-faced emperor descends the marble steps to begin his highly anticipated inspection. But then he does something completely unexpected. He silently walks right past the grandest, tallest blooms. He doesn't smile at them. He doesn't offer a single word of praise for the magnificent orchids or the towering trees. He walks all the way to the very back of the crowd and stops only when he spots the terrified boy bowing low with his pot of dirt. And here is where the emperor drops an absolute bombshell. He announces to the entire courtyard that every single seed he handed out had been boiled in water. They were totally dead. No way, right? No seed among them could have ever grown, which meant that every beautiful flower,
Every towering, exotic plant in that courtyard was a complete lie. You can just imagine the other kids frantically running to the local market earlier that week, digging up their parents' gardens, trading for exotic plants just to avoid looking like a failure.
The big takeaway here is that a kingdom is grown from the deepest roots, and the absolute deepest root of all is an honest heart. The emperor immediately names the village boy his heir. He proves right then and there that true leadership isn't about flashy results or presenting some perfectly curated image to the public. It's about choosing truth over praise and honesty over glory. That boy was the only one brave enough to tell the truth, and that made him the only one fit to actually lead. All right, the modern translation. Let's look at 5 lessons for a pure heart.
Okay, so if we want to translate this ancient wisdom into our own modern lives, we have to start right here. Integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody is watching. The true test for those children wasn't out there in the public courtyard for everyone to see. It was alone, in their homes, over those 6 long months. Your character is built offstage, in the quiet moments of your day, far, far away from the applause, the promotions, and the social media likes. Distilling the story's wisdom down, we get these highly actionable lessons for your own life, your personal kingdom. First, you've got to be honest about your failures. Stop dressing up empty pots with borrowed flowers just to impress people who, frankly, don't matter. Second, don't just chase appearances. Build deep roots. Dare to actually be good at what you do, rather than just looking good. Third, don't wait for some easy, perfect moment to be truthful. Own your mistakes today. And finally, guard your reputation fiercely. Trust takes years to build, but as those other kids learned real quick, it takes seconds to break. Never forget that while a lie might look beautiful and bloom incredibly fast, its roots are undeniably shallow. It's got speed, sure, and it might get you a quick win, but it has absolutely no staying power. Truth, much like the boy's empty pot, has quiet power. It might not look flashy right away, and yeah, it might even feel like a major setback at first, but it has deep roots and the endurance to survive the harsh seasons. As the source material beautifully reminds us, 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to challenge how you lead in your own family, your work, and your community, starting today. In a world that constantly, literally rewards us for pretending, where do you choose to stay honest no matter what? Take a hard look at your life, drop the borrowed blooms, and find the courage to hold your empty pot. I promise you, you'll be amazed at the real, lasting growth that follows.